Hello, Sunil. Dr. Sunil.
हाँ राव सर, गुड इवनिंग.
Good evening. Good evening. We would like to invite.
Good evening, sir. How are you?
I'm fine, sir. Yeah.
Yes sir, good evening. Good evening.
Good evening.
Yes, sir. Very well. Are you fine?
Good evening,
Nice
sir.
to see you.
Good evening, sir.
Ha.
Very nice to meet you.
Are same with me, sir.
Yes.
How is going on there in Bangladesh?
Yes, sir. Well, everything is okay, and COVID is under control.
Ha.
Yes.
COVID has not yet reported in India. Things have been under control. So nice to meet you, sir, Sitar sir, and other colleague.
Yes, hello, Ria. Are you ready?
Sir, I think we should wait for some time if you allow me because principals aren't here yet in the meet.
Sunil, sir.
Yes, yes, sure.
Sunil, sir.
Yes, sir.
Have you received that this one video of Lanza College? Got it from mail.
Yes, sir. Received and forwarded to Rahul sir. No issue.
Okay, okay. So by what time we will start? Sunil, sir.
Yes, sir. Just waiting for principal madam to join.
Okay, okay, okay. Dr. Raju Kamble is there. Kamble, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Yes, yes, sir.
Okay, okay. Welcome, sir.
Yes. Okay, sir.
Dr. Mari, sir is also there, I think. Mari, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You are not visible. Let me see.
Okay.
Okay, welcome,
Okay.
sir. Welcome, welcome, sir.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
And Dr. Wagmare, sir, welcome.
Thank you, sir. Sorry, sir. I think Sargar sir is yet to join.
Yes, yes. He will join, sir.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Okay.
Hi, sir. Good evening.
Good evening, Baba Sahib.
Sunil, sir.
Hello, Rao sir.
Sunil sir, yes.
Sir, principal madam is busy with some sort of interview. So can we start?
Yeah, definitely.
Yes, Miss Ria.
I would like to just start.
Hello, Ria.
Yes, sir.
Meanwhile,
start?
we can. Yeah. Please go ahead.
Okay,
Yeah.
sir. Poker.
Hello, Ria.
Sunil, we can. Sunil sir, we can ask Vijay sir to start.
Yes, sir. We are starting.
Yeah.
Hello, everyone. Greetings to everyone present here. This is Ria Goyal, host of this webinar, and on behalf of Department of English of Bhawan's College, Mumbai, India, would like to welcome you all for international level webinar on ethics and dialogical teaching methodology in higher education, jointly organized by the Departments of English of Dr. Tatya Saheb Natu College, Chiplu, ACS College, Nanja, and Bhawan's College, Mumbai. which is held on March 19, 2022 at 4 p.m. IST. I would like to welcome Dr. Shivputra Kannade from Vishwabharati Research Center, Latur, Maharashtra, India. I would like to welcome the principals, Dr. Vijay Kumar Khoth, Principal of Dr. Natu College, Dr. Arvind Kulkarni, Principal of ACS College, Lancha, and Dr. Zareen Patena, Principal of Bhavans College, Mumbai. I would also like to welcome Vice Principal of Arts Stream of Bhavans College, Dr. Mrs. Rekha Sharma, HOD of English of Bhavans College, Dr. Narayan Rao, and the other teachers and participants from all over the world. And last but not the least, our guest speaker for today's webinar, Dr. Elham Hossain, Professor in English, Dhaka College, Dhaka, Bangladesh, and Dr. Shivaji Sargar, Professor, Department of English, University of Mumbai, Maharashtra, India. Before we begin with the event, I would like to call upon Dr. Vijay Kumar Khoth to share his views on this session. Sorry, sir.
Yes, Riya, just wait.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon to all. Myself, Principal Dr. Sir, is it visible?
Yes, sir, it is.
It is visible. Please go ahead.
Vijay Kumar Khoth, Dr. Tatesaheb Natu College of Arts and Senior College of Commerce, Margatamane, Chiplun, Maharashtra, India. Friends, as per the MOUs signed amongst Departments of English and IQACs of Bhavans College, Andheri, Mumbai, Arts, Commerce and Science College, Lanja, and Dr. Tatesaheb Natu College of Arts and Senior College of Commerce, Margatamane, Chiplun, District Ratnagiri, Maharashtra, India. We always organize various events for the students and faculty based on curricular and extracurricular activities. Today's international interdisciplinary webinar is one of such events, which is on the topic ethics and dialogic teaching methodology in higher education. I am happy to welcome our resource persons, Dr. Elam Hussain, Professor, Department of English, Dhaka City College, Dhaka, Bangladesh, as well as Dr. Shivaji Sargar, Professor, Department of English, University of Mumbai, Mumbai, India, for today's international webinar. I am sure the deliberations and the knowledge of both the resource persons will definitely benefit all the participants throughout the world. And I also welcome my colleague Dr. Suresh Sutar and Mrs. Prajakta Shinde, who have taken extensive efforts to organize this international webinar. I wish all the best for this international interdisciplinary webinar. Thank you very much. Yes, Riya.
Thank you so much, sir, for your kind words. Now, I would like to call upon Dr. Arvind Kulkarni to share his views on this session.
Good morning to everyone, respected guest. especially the management and the principals of all the colleges. Our resource persons, Dr. Elham Hussein, Professor of English from Bangladesh. The another resource person is our friend Dr. Shivaji Sargar, Professor of Mumbai University, and dear participants from all over the country. At the very outset, let me extend a warm welcome to all of you on behalf of New Education Society's Arts, Commerce, Science College Lanza on this virtual floor on an international interdisciplinary webinar on ethics and dialogic teaching methodology in higher education conducted by departments of English and IQACs of Arts, Commerce, Science College Lanza, Dr. Natu College Margatamane and Bhavans College Mumbai. Friends, we all know that an unprecedented pandemic situation has been prevailed in all over the world because of COVID-19, and we are not sure how long it will go on. The result of it is that we all are set back on the grounds physically, psychologically, intellectually, and academically. However, we have been working physically or virtually as the time permits. In the meanwhile, many issues have been erupted in a different way, and we are supposed to get a solution for the same. Today's webinar addresses the same issue, and I hope that by the end of this webinar, we certainly come at some effective conclusions so far as the matter of ethics in education and the requirement of dialogue.
Yes, Ria. Ria, it's done.
Thank you, sir, for your kind words and encouraging one as well. Now, in order to introduce the workshop, may I request Dr. Narayana Rao, Department Head of English of Bhavans College, to give us a glimpse on this session. Sir?
Thank you very much. I would like to say on behalf of our principal, madam, since she is very busy in college, I introduce this webinar uh, to say and welcome Dr. Yelam Hosseini sir, Professor English Department, Dhaka City College, Bangladesh. Also, I would like to welcome Dr. Shivaji Sargar sir, Professor, University of Mumbai. Today, friends, we must know that these resource persons would definitely give us great understanding with regard to uh, what ethics needed in our education system, what we learn from our classroom, how we have to understand the logic of logistic, I mean, a kind of dialogic understanding. Dialogue should be there in the classroom between teacher and the students. And teacher, whatever says, definitely students should have to react to it. And furthermore, we come to know a lot of understanding from these two great resource persons. And I'm welcoming them from my bottom of heart. And I greet especially to Dr. Yelam Hosseini sir, who has considered this given this opportunity to us to interact, and his precious time he allotted to us. And I I request all the participants, please welcome Dr. Yelam Hosseini sir. I also thankful to the organizers, especially our department staff and our students also. I wish everybody a good luck and let us look forward to their good and I mean their experiences with regard to international interdisciplinary webinar on ethics and dialogic teaching methodology in higher education. Thank you.
Thank you,
Over
sir.
to
Thank you, sir. Now, before we begin with the session, I would like to call upon the man behind the curtain, behind this whole session to be organized, come into existence, Dr. Shivaputra Kannade. May I request him to share his views on this session?
Good evening to all. It's my privilege to deliver my words on this occasion, where dignitaries from all over the world have gathered to deliberate over the topic ethics and dialogic teaching methods in higher education. Dear friends, in the modern era, education and ethics must go hand in hand. Our students educated through the ethics that will shape our society constructively and creatively. Naturally, to motivate the scholars on this issue, to bring them on single platform has been the dire need of this hour. And this has been catered by the three colleges in Maharashtra. I sincerely appreciate Dr. Nathu College, Lanja College and Bhavans College for this initiative. I welcome my friend and international scholar, Dr. Ilham Hussain from Dhaka, Bangladesh and Professor Shivaji Sargar from University of Mumbai, Maharashtra on this platform. My best wishes to all the participants from all over the world, and I am quite thankful to the organizers, especially my friends Dr. Sutar for providing me an opportunity to put my voice here. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Now the time comes now. But before that, I would like to call upon Dr. Rajiv Kamble from ACS College to introduce today's guest speaker for the first session, Dr. Ilham Hussain. Sir?
Hello, thank you, Ria. I hope that I am audible.
Yes, sir, you are.
Yes. Okay. So, dignitaries on the floor, Dr. Ilham Hussain sir and Dr. Shivaji Sarkar sir, all the principals of the three institutions, the heads of the department, the participants from all over the country. My job is to introduce you today's resource person, Dr. Ilham Hussain. He is a well-known academician, essayist, translator, editor, and literary critic. Sir has done his MPhil on the topic of colonial literature, and his doctoral dissertation was on the novels of Chinua Achebe from the University of Dhaka. Dr. Ilham Hussain has almost 11 books on his credit. Some of them has been given here, but instead of going to all of them, I just want to go ahead. Dr. Ilham Hussain has translated Chinua Achebe's Things Fall Apart and The Trouble with Nigeria, and Ben Okri's The Freedom Artist into Bengali language. He is not only an academician, but he has done the job of a translator, editor, and literary critic too. Besides of that one, he has published a good number of research papers in academic journals, home and abroad. He has also participated and presented his research papers in national and international conferences and seminars. Sir has chaired many sessions as resource person, speaker in national and international seminars and conferences. His area of interest encompasses the vast array of literary theories, anthropology, and South Asian and African literature and culture. He has edited a periodical named as Africa Rolo, Light of Africa in Bengali, and published it from the Center of Studies in African Literatures and Cultures, Dhaka. He has been extending his duty as a professor of English in Dhaka City College, Dhaka, and National University, Bangladesh for more than a period of 2 decades. This is actually a very short introduction of our today's resource person, Dr. Ilham Hussain sir. How extensively he is working over there, we can understand from the short introduction and the speech that he is going to deliver hereafter. Now, we people have a chance of hearing to him from this virtual floor. It is our great pleasure to have Dr. Ilham Hussain sir with us on this occasion. So on behalf of all the participants and all the three institutions, I extend a warm welcome to Dr. Ilham Hussain sir. And I'm sure that we all are very eager to listen to Dr. Ilham sir. So thank you very much, and over to you, Ria.
Thank you so much, sir. May I now request Dr. Hossain sir to take over from here?
Thank you very much. Thank you, Dr. Rajiv Kamble sir, for your generous introduction. Good evening, everybody. It's my honor and pleasure to be invited to the International Interdisciplinary Webinar on Ethics and Dialogic Teaching Methodology in Higher Education, organized by the Departments of English, SES College, Lanja, Dr. Tati Sahib Natu College, and Bhavans College, Mumbai. It's my honor to share the virtual platform with Dr. Shibaji Sargar sir, Professor, Department of English, University of Mumbai, Dr. Zareen Bethena, Principal, Bhavans College, Mumbai, Dr. Vijay Kumar Khot, Principal, Natu College, Dr. Arvind Kulkarni, Principal, SES College, Lanja, Dr. Rajiv Kamble sir, Head, Department of English, SES College, Lanja, Professor Narayana Rao sir, Head, Department of English, Bhavans College, Dr. Suresh Sutar sir, Dr. Sunil Gandhali, and one of my most favorite personalities, by honoring whom I feel myself honored, is Dr. Shiv Putra Kanade, Vishwavarati Research Center, Latur, India. I am really grateful and thankful to all of you, very good people, to have an opportunity to be with you. My today's topic of discussion is ethics in education, responsibilities of teachers and students in the age of digitalization. The traditional definition of ethics that we know, that is, ethics is a moral philosophy. And as respected Dr. Kanade sir has said, that ethics and teaching go hand in hand. Without ethics, teaching is not complete. And only ethics without proper knowledge is also useless. But the conception of ethics, and even the conception of education, the methodology of education, all these things are fluid. And all these things go through changes, evolution and revolution. So I will discuss this particular topic, that is ethics in education and the responsibilities of teachers and students in the age of digitalization from a different perspective. Actually, I will not follow the traditional approach to these terms, that is ethics and pedagogy of teaching methodology. I have interpreted these terms and our terminologies from the modern perspective, the perspective of corporatized economy, the perspective of capitalist economy. And I think ethics now, in this present state of digitalization or present age of digitalization, has gone through a lot of changes. It has achieved new dimensions. So to deliberate these conceptions, I have borrowed the theoretical framework from Michel Foucault, and some of my ideas I have borrowed from Russian formalist critic Mikhail Bakhtin. And I will also give you some ideas about the present state or present condition of our education, especially while we are learning online or we are preferring online classes more to in-person classes. Now, I like to start my discussion. Actually, Michel Foucault borrowed the conception of panopticon from Jeremy Bentham to explain that everybody is subject to observation or surveillance. If this observation is discarded, ethics or discipline can be self-propagating or spontaneous. But in the present state of condition created by capitalistic mode of economy or corporate economy, ethics that we traditionally term as moral philosophy has become a construction. So ethics has become a construction, shaped and controlled by panopticon effect. Technology, in association with power structure, has created a world as we find in George Orwell's fiction, 1984, where we feel that a big brother is watching us. So teaching is a dialogic process, which requires interaction between both the parties, that is, between the teachers and the students. It's a dialectical or discursive process that generates new ideas which pass through both the parties. And Russian formalist critic Mikhail Bakhtin, his term dialogism, also interprets that the factors active in interactions and producing meanings under the conditions of heteroglossia cannot work autonomously. According to Bakhtin, meanings are generated under the condition of human communication, which is called heteroglossia. And it is affected by social, historical, psychological, and physical conditions and forces. Hence, I think in today's world of digitalization, the terminology such as ethics in education, interpersonal relationship between teachers and students, and the responsibilities of both these parties, that is, responsibilities of teachers and students, are to be reread, deconstructed, and reconstructed. Like all spheres of our society, education has been digitalized at present, especially during the pandemic. This transformative potential, that is technology, has brought about a lot of significant changes in the pedagogy. It's true that teaching methodology runs through revolution and evolution. Revolution and evolution. Changes are the demands of the days. If we go back to our past in the subcontinent, our teaching methodology was dialectical. And if we go back to the teaching methodology, which was practiced in Nalanda University of 13th century or 12th century, or Paharpur Uttar Bihar, another educational institution, we find that the process of giving knowledge was totally dialectical. And the teacher used to play the role of a sage. He used to stand in front of the students and he delivered lecture on a particular topic. And he made the students inculcate the lesson and memorize the lesson. And at the same time, with knowledge, he also taught how to speculate. And from this, that is the combination of knowledge and speculation or speculative faculty, new ideas generated. That was the methodology that was followed in this subcontinent. But change, at present, we find changes in our teaching methodology. So changes are the demands of the days. Now a student can say that I would rather prefer using websites because it is always more fun than sitting at a desk for a whole period and listening to the teacher talk. Accordingly, teachers are required to learn technology to adjust with the changing mode of teaching techniques. So teaching objective has also changed with the change of the mode of economy. In the agro-based economic society or feudal society, teaching methodology in this subcontinent aimed at developing the learner's character, mastering the art of self-control, and bringing about social awareness and conserving the traditional culture. So teaching was associated with ethical values. But now in the capitalist economic society, education aims at producing, or the education system aims at producing educated elite, accelerating the production of the capitalists, and hence educational institutions have been transformed into a place of fulfilling the needs of the market demands. So with the change of the mode of production, educational institutions are also changing their roles. They are playing the role of factory, of producing the resources required for the market. So it seems that is job market. So it seems the educational institutions are now producing commodities for the job markets. Markets means consumers. Digitalization, an inevitable tool of capitalism, gives vent to the widely familiar perception that digital society is a capitalist society. True, digitalization has enabled both the teachers and the students to cross the boundaries of four walls of a classroom. Digitalization has freed both the students and the teachers from the constrictions of time and space. This is really a new addition to teaching methodology. It has enabled both the teacher and the student to evaluate them globally through the development of connectivity, which was quite impossible in the past. Even then, the question arises, what role does ethics play in education in the age of digitalization? Is education only accelerating the capitalist mission of maximizing profit? Or is it contributing to the development of the sense of values, tradition, self-identity, awareness, and location of an individual in the atmosphere of multiculturalism and transnationalism? So multiculturalism, we know it's a very buzzword, very commonly pronounced all around us. And multiculturalism is declaring that, it is declaring a democratic atmosphere of living together in solidarity, in equality. But multiculturalism has a politics. Some cultures, some particular cultures exercise hegemonic power, hegemonic roles upon the cultures which are economically backward. So multiculturalism is posing a threat to individual identity also. So in such a very crucial time or atmosphere, what is the role of ethics in education? And how does our education or teaching methodology, how does our teaching methodology behave or take up different dimensions or changes to adjust itself with the present situation? And what would be the responsibilities of students and children in such a very crucial time? Actually, what we learn from our, now I like to define education. What is education actually? Traditionally, and what is education from the present perspective? What we learn from our curricula equips us with academic degrees. But what we learn from our observation all around is true education. Then a question arises: why should we read books and concentrate on our curricula in formal education? We must read books to know how to look around and how to look into the core of things and realities in which we are living, in which we are located. Reading a book is nothing but learning a distinct way of seeing things and certain way of approaching life. Bookish knowledge is not true education at all. In this connection, Sarvapalli Radhakrishnan, second president of India, conspicuously sounds very, very relevant when he asserts, education is acquiring of knowledge beyond what is academic and professional. Aristotle believes that an educated person is a fulfilled person because it stimulates all the latent faculties that an uneducated man cannot flourish. So Aristotle puts emphasis on the role of school, as he believes that school produces good citizens. Then if a country is corrupted, now we are very much aware about the corruption. So corruption has become a very common phenomenon in many countries, in third world countries also. So if a country is corrupted and if the educated people indulge themselves in corruption, then we must critically look into the role and function of its educational institutions, because these seats will help us investigate the cause of deviation of the people receiving education from here. So here lies the question of ethics. So if we find that the educated people are indulging in the practice of corruption, then we need not lament over it superficially. If we want to investigate the germ of this bad practice, disastrous practice of corruption, we have to explore the seats of education. We have to go to the seats of education. And that may give us the clues to know the causes behind the emergence of this disastrous practice of corruption. The only thing that can fight back the evils is ethics, encompassing traditional values and ideas in the education imparted to the learners in schools, colleges, and universities. So ethics can fight back this deviation or this corruption or disastrous or devastating practices I call these devastating practices because these practices bring about a lot of troubles and backwardness of the country. The education that can synchronize mind with heart is, according to Aristotle, true education. Now, how far is this synchronization possible in the age of digitalization? This is my point. So, our conception of education must not be utopian. It should be practical. While we conceptualize education is standing in the present situation, in the age of digitalization, in the age of capitalization, in the age of corporate capitalism, our economy, we have to think of this conception of education critically and in a different way. And for that reason, I have proposed to reread the conception of education, the conception of ethics in education. So, how is this synchronization between mind and heart possible in the age of digitalization? It's a crucial question that evokes curiosity and deserves critical interpretation of teaching as a profession. In the traditional teaching methodology, as we find in the past in this subcontinent, as I have already hinted, a teacher used to play the role of a sage, and he used to exercise authoritative role upon his pupils. That is, teacher also exercised hegemony upon the students and taught what he intended to teach. But in the modern age of digitalization, when teaching methodology is supported by computer, internet connection, multimedia presentation, and many other technological tools, our teacher turns into a facilitator. Now, our teacher plays the role of a facilitator. But in the past, that very teacher played the role of a sage. So we find a paradigm shift of the role of a teacher and of the education system or teaching methodology. We find a paradigm shift. And for that reason, I have called it a fluid conception, the conception of ethics or the conception of pedagogy. It changes with the change of time. A teacher turns into a facilitator today, and he provides his students a democratic environment where he crosses the boundaries and turns into a global student. This paradigm shift occurs extensively in this subcontinent during COVID-19 pandemic. It becomes very visible. It is started 1 or 2 decades earlier, but during pandemic, COVID-19 pandemic, it became very, very conspicuous, visible. And when for health security, an alternative form of teaching methodology instead of in-person class is introduced. And overnight, there occurs a revolution even in the concept of teaching. Consequently, traditional methods of teaching are undergoing a remarkable transformation. Technology has taken the place of a classroom. The concept of educational institutions with a good number of highly qualified faculties, a spacious campus full of greenery, well-ventilated and spacious classrooms, rich libraries with a huge number of books, is now challenged by internet-based technology, providing a computer screen instead of a classroom, Google instead of a rich library, and the shared authority enjoyed by the students to which was exercised solely by the teacher in an in-person class. So the teacher's hegemony is also challenged now. during the age of digitalization, because the apparatuses used in teaching are now shared by both the parties. Suppose my teacher is taking a class online, and I can turn on video and turn off my video. I can also turn on my audio and turn off my audio. So a teacher feels that it is difficult for him to monitor me. I'm a student, so my teacher finds it difficult to monitor me. So why? Because these apparatuses are now shared by both the parties. But in in-person class, the teacher used or enjoyed sole authority. Software is now developed for interactive presentations on online platform. Smart mobile phone, iPhone, iPad, laptop, high-speed internet connection required as necessary tools for digital education. E-book has taken the place of paper e-books, and it's becoming more and more popular for its being cheaper. So reading habit has also gone through a significant change. We know that paper e-book has an advantage. When a learner turns over a page and starts reading the page, he discovers a world there. It is not possible in ebook. As soon as he touches the screen of his smartphone, the scene changes. And again, he touches the screen, the scene changes. So the change is very rapid there. If the change is so rapid there, how can a student exercise his concentration? How can he exercise his faculty of meditation or speculation? But it is possible while a student reads a book. So now we are living in the age of knowledge. A lot of information we have, but meditation, the speculative faculty, is getting passive, and we are busy with knowledge and information. So I think this is another paradigm shift that we experience in the age of digitalization. So thinking power, which was emphasized in the past in classroom teaching or in-person teaching, is now not sufficiently practiced by the students. It is because of the changing mode of learning and changing mode of teaching. So to keep pace with this paradigm shift of teaching methodology, teachers are developing teaching strategies to effectively guide the students through the learning process. In this changing situation, teachers' responsibilities are not over. Rather, a new dimension is added to their responsibilities, which require them to be well fortified by the knowledge of technology. With that knowledge, they will give guidelines to the students to learn more effectively. So in the digital age, our teacher is also a learner. That is, our teacher learns and he shares his knowledge, learns the knowledge of technology, and he shares this knowledge with the students and applies this knowledge in his teaching methodology. So teaching is universally recognized as a learning-oriented profession. This is the reason for which teaching is called a learning-oriented profession. That is, teaching and learning go simultaneously. Socrates followed dialogic pedagogy in enlightening his pupils. Discursive methodology ensures true learning, and this is the objective that teaching aims at. It's a transformative process which enlightens both the parties. through a dialectical or discursive process. And transformation of knowledge is possible only when both the teachers and the students communicate in an interactive atmosphere. The ancient Greeks used to call their teachers icon. So I have thrown some light on the classical teaching methodology. In ancient Greece, teachers were called icons because a teacher was an imitable personality, not only in the classroom, but also outside the classroom. His words, his postures, gestures, way of life were worth reading to his pupils. Hence, it is widely believed that teaching is not a job, but a way of life. So teaching is not a job, teaching is a way of life. And when it turns into a way of life, the teacher himself or herself turns into an institution. He turns into a book that the learners read with a view to enlightening themselves. But in the capitalist framework of economy, while privatization of educational institutions is going on, what do we find? Privatization has become the fashion of the governments of capitalist countries. Many governments of many capitalist countries. And privatization of an institution means that it will face the least interference on the part of the government. And in the same vein, a privatized school, college, or university usually introduces its own curricula with a view to producing human resource for the interest of the capitalist elites. The myth of meritocracy, publicized by the educational institutions, works as a veil behind which a capitalist-funded educational institution deepens social discrimination on the basis of economic ability and transforms education into a product of different categories. That is, education imparted from different institutions is transformed into a product of different categories. Children from solvent financial background can purchase degrees with more demand in the job market created by the capitalists. And the children from lower class economic background are forced to buy the inferior commodity with which they cannot compete with required competencies for making their fortune. Facilities available for the students of the center of the power structure are not equally available for the students reading the same curricula in the margin. So the society is divided into center and margin. Marginalized students, that is, students who are economically backward, are receiving education from the margin, but the facilities that they have are not equal to the facilities that the students who are remaining in center enjoying. So these facilities in both locations are not similar. Thus, a chronic discrimination even among the graduates gives birth to anxiety, resentment, and uncertainty, and its consequential effect on psychology of the mass people challenges the classical maxim that education is the backbone of a nation. Now, whose education? What education? Many graduates, suppose if we think of our country, Bangladesh, we have many colleges, more than 2,000 colleges under our university. And these colleges are teaching graduate students. They're giving graduation degree under our university. So these graduates, after getting degrees, graduation degrees, they cannot compete with the graduates from the universities, privately funded or private universities, because the facilities that they get in private universities are not available in these colleges. So the graduates from these colleges suffer from a sort of inferiority complex, and in job market, they are to battle. And many employers publish circular or job advertisement that students with degrees from a foreign university or from the universities of that very kind may apply for this post. So just think of the discrimination, the language of discrimination, very luridly applied in job advertisement also. Actually, I am referring to the situation of my country. So in such a very discriminatory atmosphere, you have to think of ethics in a different way, in a different angle. Actually, this is the point that I like to focus, and I like to draw your attention to this point. This discriminatory education system produces an educated class who depend on the capitalists, who in negotiation with the political elites enjoy the subjugation of this particular group of educated generation. In such an environment, ethics requires a new definition that I have already mentioned, and construction that serves as a discourse to justify the ways of the capitalist. Even the maxim that inspired the people of colonial India to enjoy the right, that is, to receive education, that he who receives education can enjoy the ride of cars and horses, deliberately divided the society into stratifications. So the maxim, that is, if you receive education, you will enjoy life of a bureaucrat. So this kind of maxim that we find very publicly common or scattered in our society is also dividing the society into different stratifications or different classes. And that very maxim, which was introduced by the colonizers in this subcontinent during the period of colonization here, ensured an elitist and superior status for the educated ones upon those who were not financially capable of managing education for them. Now in post-colonial period, education sector has been turned into a field of investment with the triumphant rise of corporatization of economy. The slogan of multiculturalism is inculcated deliberately with a view to challenging individual identity. So the terminologies or the terms introduced by the capitalist countries or capitalist organizations are to be accepted or taken very critically by the people of the third world countries. Because exploitation, discrimination are still going on, they have just taken new dimensions, new dress, but the content is the same. The slogan of multiculturalism is inculcated deliberately with a view to challenging individual identity and marginalizing those who are economically backward. So cultural group with more economic competence overrides those who lag behind regarding financial ability. The group exercising hegemony does not seem to intend that those living in the periphery should be their equal. And in this economically corporatized framework, education cannot be idealized, or ethics cannot be idealized. Rather, it must be seen as an apparatus for gaining subjugation and obedience. Hence, the best kind of education requires the most handsome investment. This very disposition accelerates the rise of the phenomenon of private universities globally. In our country, in Bangladesh, private universities are increasing like mushroom. Nowadays, private universities of the first grade or even of the second grade in our country, I am referring to the situation of my country, publish the job circulars for the teachers with foreign degrees with a view to ensuring better education at high price for those who have the capacity to purchase this commodity, that is education, and the students with lower economic ability either drop out or go for degrees with which they will have to battle to keep body and soul together in future. So digitalization of education is the latest outcome of the corporate economy and globalization. It is the demand of the days of 21st century, when the concept of classroom has gone through changes. In the past, before the advent of digitalization, classroom enjoyed the status of the seat of learning and dispensing education. But globalized world has challenged the mode of logocentrism of epistemology, and thus deconstructs the concept of classroom. Mode of production determines the mode of education, like other elements of the superstructure. Information scatters everywhere, and anybody from any place can learn, can receive information. In in-person class, a teacher enjoys the hegemonic status of knowledge dispenser. But in a digital class, an online class, a student can learn being free from the authoritative control of a teacher, because some of the apparatuses of a digital class remain at the hands of the students. In a digital class and online class, a student can learn being free from the authoritative control of a teacher. Besides, a student gets a scope to verify what his teacher tells, as he is exposed to lots of information provided by Google and other cybernetic sources. And thus the teacher is indirectly guided by the students in a virtual class, as he always feels the pressure that he is being constantly monitored by his students. So in an in-person class, the teacher monitors the students. He enjoys sole authority. But in an online class, a digital class, this authority is challenged, shared by the students also. And both the parties are guided, are monitored by both the parties simultaneously. Digital class may be in blended form. Suppose a teacher is using multimedia presentation, PowerPoint presentation, and he may be present there as an interpreter. What he presents is interpreted by the teacher, so he may be present in a digital class. But in an online class, the teacher is not physically present. He virtually meets his students. So digital class and online class, these two conceptions have a subtle difference. Now I like to draw my conclusion. Many researchers today believe that digital education is creating digital discrimination. Internet facilities, especially in the third world countries, are not reachable to every learner. A statistical survey says that during COVID-19 pandemic, 40% students of Dhaka University in Bangladesh could not access into online classes because they were unable to buy electronic devices and internet package. According to BRAC, a leading NGO of our country, 56% students could not attend online class due to their inaccessibility into internet. And educators, many teachers complain that in online class attendance of students drops down to 25% or even less than this. Rural students are the worst sufferers, the students from the margin, because of these inconveniences. If they can be brought under the undisturbed and free internet facilities, and if they are provided with the necessary tools of technology, this discrimination may be overcome to some extent. But the most important thing is that the most important thing which is required to remove this discrimination is the goodwill of the power structure and a singular education policy. It is difficult, but not impossible. So I am optimistic. Education system must be controlled by the academics, not by the merchants. If we talk of ethics in education, if we think of ethics, if we talk of ethics, then we should have some radical changes in the management of education, because individual is not as much powerful as an institution. A citizen is not more powerful than his state. So the system which is controlled by these institutions is to be changed. There should be some innovations. And if these innovations are taken up in this system, then there will be truly educated persons, there will be proper education. So if we talk of ethics in education, we have to address these issues, because ethics and profit maximizing mission cannot go together. I think I should stop here now. Thank you very much for listening to me. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. It is truly said that good ethics and education open many doors of opportunities, and writing them most simply creates them. Before we move on further, I would like to call upon Dhrumi Singh to start with the Q&A session. Dhrumi?
Hello, good afternoon to all. Sir, it is very stably portrayed by you that language of discrimination has affected have-nots more than haves in the society. And I'm sure with your interdisciplinary approach, a lot of participants and a lot of professors present here today will have many questions to ask you. So I call upon participants to ask their questions.
The ones who have any sort of questions, they may raise their hand.
Or you can write it in the chat box. Yes, Suresh Siddharth, sir, you can please go ahead.
Very good evening to all of you. So very nice presentation given by Dr. Hussain sir. I'm very thankful to him on behalf of my college. I have very small question to him. Ethics so far is concerned. If we divide the life into two, rural and urban, then in which area do we find ethics in a large number, in a large quantity? Do we feel that ethics is suffocating in urban area where people are running after financial things and those things? So can you throw light on this, please?
Okay, sir, thank you very much. Actually, ethics is a construction, and it is not an abstract today, especially if you think of ethics in agro-based society or feudal society. Ethics was considered to be an abstract which was related to values, tradition, history, historical sense, awareness, etc., etc. But in the process of urbanization in modern age, in 21st century, you will find that the term ethics is challenged by different factors, especially the economy, the mode of production. But if we go to the villages or rural areas, I am still impressed by the ethical, the standard of ethics cherished by the rural people still. And I find the rural people who are not exposed to so many complexities of corporatized economy are still cherishing ethics. Suppose my teachers with whom I learned 40 years ago are still, who are still alive, are still cherishing some ethical order. They're leading very simple life, and they have sacrificed all their life for enlightening the people. Okay, but now this tradition or this very mode of ethics is going through changes. Actually, I do not blame it. I think it is the way of the world. Ethics is a fluid. It will go through change. It will change as the society will change. It will change as the mode of economy will change. And we are seeing these changes all around us. And in urban society, ethics is also practiced, but we find some subtle differences here. It is because of the technology, it is because of the amenities of life available in urban life. So all these factors control and construct the conception of ethics. So it's a relevant term, it is not a constant term. It goes through changes. Thank you, sir.
Sir, there is another question in the chat box by Ma'am Priyanka Nanthani. What as a professor should I do if my fellow professors are not ethical while taking online lectures, which in turn leads to loss of students? Please throw some light on this issue.
Madam, would you please repeat the question? Actually, I could not hear it because of some technical inconveniences.
Sure, sir. Yes, sir. So there is a question by Ma'am Priyanka Nanthani. The question states that what as a professor I should do if my fellow professors are not ethical while taking online lectures, which in turn leads to loss of students. Please throw some light on this issue.
Yes, I think as a fellow professor, it is very difficult. It's a very crucial situation. Actually, we have to go through compromisation. We have to go through negotiation. We have to go through dialogues. So your question, that is what as a professor I should do if my fellow professor are not ethical while taking online lectures. Yes, it's a very, what should I say? I have also faced this kind of problem. And it occurs due to our cultural background and due to our economic background also, and due to our psychological setup also. So in such a very situation, I think as we are living in a system, we are not isolated or we are not segregated from this system. I belong to the system as he, my fellow professor, belongs to the same system. In that very particular situation, we may develop negotiation. We may exchange views and come to a conclusion that what we will do. Because nobody in this very particular age of digitalization is isolated, and no isolation attempt can be successful unless and until it develops connectivity with others. So we have to go through connectivity. We have to develop connectivity and negotiate among ourselves. I also faced this kind of problem. And then in such a very crucial situation, I negotiate with my fellow professors and try to solve the problem. But it is not always possible for me to solve the problem. But I go through with my duties and responsibilities. Thank you, madam. Thank you.
There are a lot of questions. I'm sure participants were very intrigued by your. So I would like to call upon Riyawed to go next.
Sir, hello.
Yes, madam.
My question is, online education has led to opening up ways to many unethical methods opted by students especially, such as cheating while examinations, lying, and so on. So what are your views on this? Like, is there any chances of them to be reduced, since it is seen that the ones who are honest towards their work are thrown far away from their goals because of others who have opted for these methods?
Thank you, madam. It's a very good question. And it's a problem that we also face. Many students take resort to unfair means, especially while we keep online examination. And I have even heard from different sources that the students hire some resource persons or some senior students, even teachers, to sit for examination on his behalf. So I think in such a very situation, as technology has enabled us to go through online teaching, so technology should invent some particular techniques so that we can identify whether it is right or wrong, or whether this very student has taken unfair means, or that very student has not taken unfair means. But the most important thing is that we have to be morally good. If we are morally good, if we think that our purpose is to be enlightened. Actually, why does this happen? Because our evaluation process is faulty. We evaluate our student on the basis of their score. We do not evaluate our students on the basis of their range of knowledge. So for obtaining good score, the students take resort to these unfair means. So I think our evaluation system is to be changed. And then we may solve this problem to some extent. But above all, we all that is, both teachers and students should be ethically good, morally good. Thank you, madam.
Sir, the next question is by Professor Suryakant Parkare and he asks, how can we subvert the hegemony and capitalism in the field of education as marginalized groups have lesser.
Yes, thank you very much. It's a very nice question. Thank you, Professor. Actually, capitalism is now enjoying its trump or triumphant victory. Capitalism is racing just like a horse, and it has captivated every sphere of our life. It is true that capitalism has created a lot of job opportunities all over the world, but capitalism has taken away, has stolen away our moral goodness. Because while capitalism has allowed the individual to become the owner of the resources or wealth, then human beings become selfish. So this selfishness is a gift of, is an accursed gift of capitalism. And capitalism is going on. And it is, I do not know when we will be able to fight back or to develop a counter discourse of this capitalism. But I think in course of time, while we will find that humanity, while we will feel that humanity comes first, then prosperity, individual prosperity. So if we can develop this kind of attitude, and that will be developed, I think, in course of time, as we find today. Suppose the war situation that we experience today, these are the outcomes of capitalism, capitalist competitions. So when we will realize that humanity comes first, then individual gain or profit-making disposition, then I think we will be able to challenge or subvert the hegemony of capitalism. And even Karl Marx was not sure when the capitalism will be terminated, but he had a hope that in course of time, there are some jumps in capitalism, and those jumps will bring about the fall of capitalism. I do not know when this will happen as a reader of Karl Marx or Marxism, but I am hopeful that this situation will happen. Thank you, sir.
There's this one last question by me. So you quoted that in the start, 1989 by George Orwell, saying that the big brother is watching. So do you think that the greed of power in capitalism can be taught ethics ever?
Yes, actually, capitalism believes nobody. Understand, the capitalists believe nobody. My employer does not believe me. In his eyes, I am a factory of labor. Okay, as long as I will be able to generate labor, I will be valuable to him. Suppose if you go to a super shop for shopping, some CCTV cameras are there. They are watching you. You have a smart mobile phone. So Google can locate you that you are there. So you are always under the surveillance. Okay, so capitalists do not believe anybody. We are always under the surveillance, under the observation of this capitalist system. So I think in such a very critical situation, while we are under observation or surveillance, our ethics, our morality, even our education, our knowledge. All these are the constructions. Constructions as per the shape, as per the format provided by the capitalists. Because they will produce these products to serve their purpose. And we are serving their purpose. Actually, this is the situation in which we are living now. You are living now, we are also living now in the same situation. So we are all under surveillance. Just think of the prophetic faculty of George Orwell. He wrote this novel nearly 80 years ago. The big brother is watching you. So we are always under the surveillance. This is panopticism that we find in Michel Foucault, that we are under the surveillance. Google is always locating us. And if you go to a place, suppose your travel card will locate you, that is, you are there. So you are always under surveillance. You are always under observation. So in such a very panoptical situation, we are walking. Okay. So our knowledge is constructed. Our way of thinking is also constructed now. Now, how can we fight back this? We can fight back this by developing a counter discourse. It may take time, but when it will be successful, we have to wait for that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. It's really a wonderful session and it made us think a lot, especially that we are always being watched.
Thank you, madam.
Thank you, sir. I would now like to pass on the mic to Ria to conduct the session forward.
Thank you so much, sir, for giving us this wonderful session. It was really informative. We liked it a lot. Now, for the second session to be come into existence, I would like to call upon Mrs. Prajakta Shinde, Professor in Dr. Nathu College, to introduce today's guest speaker for the second session, Dr. Shivaji Sarkar. Ma'am.
Not a job of life. It is a bit of your life. And section, my subject I have been working as professor at Dr. Nathu College. I have here introduction of the and Dr. Sir. He is the professor and head of the university. He has been here for usual 20 years. American literature and Indian literature. A guide he created for purchasing guidance. He has received respect and effort this lecture. When we talk about he has a national level and university level and respect. He has experience of national workshop program 5 times. When it as an editor, he in chief this international disciplinary research board of editors journal editor UK, and he has an experience of working like of council of English PRs actually participated in activity. Notable is he material to PG level. He has working activity for and has working as a member of team. He has college German of his contribution to external is remarkable. And over to you.
Thank you, ma'am. Now, I would like to call upon Dr. Rajesh Agar to take over this session. Sir?
Thank you very much. I hope I am audible, clearly audible.
Yes, sir, you are.
Thank you very much for this very generous but technologically affected introduction. Good afternoon to all of you. Dear organizers, I think there are 4 of them today. The principals of 3 different organizing colleges, Dr. Jarin, a very senior principal from Bhavan's College. Then we have my friend Dr. Vijay Kumar Khot, principal of Dr. Nathu College. Dr. Arvind Kulkarni, principal of Art Science and Commerce College, Lanja, Ratnagiri. And my friend Dr. Shivputra Kanade, who is the director of Vishwabharati Research Center, Latu. Other members of organizing committees, all the HODs of the respective departments of these colleges, Dr. Narayan Rao from Bhavan's College, Dr. Suresh Star from Dr. Nathu College, Markamani, Dr. Rajiv Kamble, and other members of the respective departments, including my friend Dr. Rajesh Mali from Art Science and Commerce College, Lanja. Then we have Dr. Sunil Gondri from Bhavan's College. Of course, my teacher, Dr. Adya Prasad Pandey, who is also among the participants today, who leads Viva College, Mumbai as the principal. The resource person who just spoke his mind to the audience, Dr. Elam Hussain from Dhaka City College, Dhaka, Bangladesh. Dear participants, research scholars, students, and other well-wishers who have spared their very, very valuable time to be a part of this webinar on a very relevant topic, and of course, much needed topic, which is ethics and dialogic teaching methodology in higher education. So, good afternoon to all of you. Friends, at the outset, let me congratulate the team of the organizers and of course the conveners of this particular webinar who have selected this particular topic for the present webinar, because of the kind of situation actually through which the world is going during the last almost more than 2 years now in general, and for the people like me in particular who are very closely associated with higher education sector because of this COVID-19 situation, which has not allowed the teachers like me to get connected with my students. Though friends, I have been engaging my classes in online mode, I must admit that I have, like most of other teachers, miserably failed to develop any kind of close relationship with any of my students. Of course, I must agree that the online platforms which are available for us today, like Google Meet and this today's Zoom, these platforms have some very good features that enable the teachers to employ various innovative teaching methods, including that of the dialogic teaching methodology, which can develop interpersonal relationships between the teacher and the students. But friends, what I feel is we should not forget various other obstacles that hinder the effective delivery of dialogic teaching methodology or developing any interpersonal relationships between the teacher and the learners. Of course, there are different reasons, and if you ask me, The very first reason is the non-availability of smartphones. You might have seen, you might have come across different news items wherein students, they suffered a lot, particularly in the rural area, because they have got no smartphones to get login to attend their classes. So that is non-availability of the smartphones is a big issue. Even there is the issue of poor network. There is the lack of uninterrupted supply of electricity that will keep our cell phones charged. Then there is even not proper sitting arrangement for both the students because of the crowded places where they live, as well as the teachers, because even the teachers, they have in some cases, in some houses, there are both the spouses, they are working as teachers. They do have their separate classes, they have their own kids who are attending their online classes. So everything is there. And perhaps the most important thing, I think, is the students who are very, very poorly motivated. So because of all these reasons, it is really very difficult for the genuinely interested teachers, as well as very, very serious and self-motivated students, to gain anything meaningful from this online teaching learning process. I'm not blaming the system. What I'm trying to do is to put in front of you the facts. So today, I'll be speaking about all these possible aspects related to the present teaching learning situation at higher education sector. During the course of my presentation, which I have divided my presentation today into two parts. So in the first part of my presentation, what I'll be doing is I'll be devoting my first part to understand some of the important theoretical aspects of dialogic teaching methodology, and the latter part to deal with the interpersonal relationships. And the last part of my presentation, what I want to do is I wish to share some of my personal experiences related to my personal life, both as a teacher as well as student, and that I'll try to emphasize my attempts at dialogic teaching learning system, which I strongly believe which can be very effectively and very successfully used both in and outside the classes. So friends, let me begin. And to begin with these theoretical aspects, as I said, of dialogic teaching methodology, it is known, this dialogic teaching methodology is known as using talk more effectively for carrying out teaching learning process. In other words, it is not just one-way process in which the teacher is speaking all the time in the class and learners, they are just passive listeners. So, the word dialogue, it carries die means two. So the meaning of this word is the conversation between the two people during the classroom session. So the teacher's attempts during this session are to make their learners speak out their minds and their hearts. The teacher tries to make the students more active, thereby helping them to share their ideas, their thoughts on the given topic, which will definitely enable the students to understand to what extent they have grasped the content of the topic. And it will also help them overcome their misunderstanding. Students, they carry certain misunderstandings. So if the situation is dialogic, definitely it will help to the students to overcome their misunderstandings. So it is found that if the students are allowed to participate in teaching learning process, they can explore the limits of their own understanding. They can effectively overcome their own misgivings or misunderstandings and learn the topic at hand in a better manner. So this dialogic method may further help the teacher to explain his ideas more effectively, as the active participation of the students brings back to him or her the feedback from the students regarding what topic he or she is teaching in the class. So that feedback definitely will give the teacher an opportunity to explain further the intricacies of the topic under discussion if the students desire so. So, but though this dialogic method of teaching learning is very effective, during the last 30 years, what I have observed is sometimes it is very difficult for the person like me to employ it in the classroom. Why? The very first reason of this difficulty is the large size of the classroom. You know, today in Indian higher education sector, the classes are very, very large, particularly in the humanities to which we belong. Let me give you one very specific example from the state of Maharashtra itself. As we, most of us, we belong to the state of Maharashtra. We know the higher education sector in the state of Maharashtra. So in Maharashtra, the intake capacity of any undergraduate class is 120. And the university may allow the college to enroll 20% more students if there is a demand from the students' fraternity. So it means the number of the students in each class, it goes up to 144. So what does it mean? It means during the lecture, a teacher is required to deal with 144 students at one and the same time. So such a large number of students, and you know, these students, this lot of students, which comprises of all sorts, like for example, many of the students, they are disinterested in learning anything. Some of them might be less motivated as there is no guarantee of getting any job after they graduate, or even there can be very few of them who come in the class because they have nothing else meaningful to do in their lives, so on and so forth. Many different issues are there so far as the student fraternity is concerned. So friends, in such a situation, it is the testing time for the teacher to employ dialogic teaching methodology, even though it is very effective. The other aspect of this situation is that even if all the students are very interested and all of them wish to participate in this dialogic teaching methodology, it has been observed that it becomes almost impossible for the teacher to allow all of his or her students to participate in the teaching learning method. Friends, after getting into the class, the teacher is mandatorily required to register the attendance of all the students. So 100, 120, whatever the number. So it is the duty of the teacher to register the attendance. And even if the teacher is very resourceful, the attendance kind of thing, it takes almost 10 to 15 of his minutes. And a teacher is allotted only 50 minutes. So as per the rule, the attendance as well as the completion of the syllabus is mandatory, so far as the teacher's job is concerned. So the teacher cannot afford to allow the students to speak out their minds and hearts. He cannot allow them to raise their reasonable queries. Even it is found that the teacher does not allow sometimes the students to share their opinions in a given time schedule because he has these things like attendance and completion of the syllabus mandatorily to be done during the given stipulated time. So if the teacher is forced to get involved into these kinds of mandatory things, then naturally the students are at the receiving end, leading to their academic loss. So the question is how to employ this dialogic teaching method in the given circumstances. Here actually, I would like to share my own, my personal experience when I was doing my master's from a very renowned PG center affiliated to Shivaji University, Kolhapur. That time, we had a course named Special Author Shakespeare. It was prescribed for second year master's program. So at that time, the teacher was assigned the responsibility of teaching this particular paper was a very senior professor of the Department of English. And he was a very renowned Shakespearean scholar. His name was Professor Landge. So during the very first class, when he came into the class, Professor Landge, he proposed two options. He offered us, the students, two options. What were they? The first option was to complete the syllabus, which comprised of Shakespeare's. How long was the syllabus? In that particular one paper, there were 3 tragedies by Shakespeare, 3 comedies by Shakespeare, a dark comedy, one more dark comedy, that is The Winter's Tale, a historical play, and a long poem named Venus and Adonis. So that was what actually the entire syllabus of that particular course was carrying this much load. So, and the second option what the teacher, the professor, Professor Dr. Landge, he gave us was to enable the students to really understand Shakespeare and enjoy his literature rather than just touching upon some major aspects of the prescribed text and complete the syllabus in the given time frame. So we thought as the students, most of the times students are worried about the completion. Actually, they are more worried about the completion of the syllabus. But fortunately that year, many of the students, they thought that as a lot of study material was already available on the plays of Shakespeare, so we decided to go with the second option. And friends, you won't believe, the professor started Shakespeare's play, very renowned play, Hamlet, in the second week of June 1991. I very distinctly remember second week of June 1991, and he could complete only the first act and half of the second act of this play by the end of February 1992. So almost 8 months. So during these 8 months of teaching, Professor Landge made the class quite familiar with all the minute intricacies of Shakespeare, the kind of language he uses, the kind of similes and metaphors he uses, his life, his philosophy of life, as it is reflected in the play. And how does he do that? He picked up some specific dialogues from the play Hamlet, and he made us aware of the kind of writing Shakespeare does. So friends, let me tell you, it was in the academic year 1991-92. And even today, I distinctly remember various examples that Professor Landge gave during the classroom sessions, wherein he basically used dialogic teaching method and allowed the students to get engaged with him and other students actively in the classroom in such a manner that the students felt everything was happening in front of them, as if they were not the students, but they were really the citizens of Denmark, witnessing the sufferings and agonies of their beloved prince Hamlet. So how he succeeded in creating such kind of scene in front of the eyes of the students by using this particular methodology. And this is, let me tell you, this is not the only thing. Beyond understanding Hamlet as a tragedy in a much better manner, this particular dialogic teaching method employed by Dr. Landge, it also help us to develop a deeper interpersonal relationship with the teacher. And let me tell you that relationship did not even last with the academic at the end of the academic session, but it is still going on. As I fondly remember Professor Lange, even after 30 years, and trying to make you understand his teaching method, and him, Professor Lange, as a great teacher and equally a very great human being. So this takes me to the next theoretical aspect of my presentation, and that is interpersonal relationship between the teacher and the students. Interpersonal relationship in simpler terms can be meant as close relationship. So we know the closest relationships are generally found among the family members, even among a small group of friends. Though these interpersonal relationships are perhaps the most important relationships in a person's life, unfortunately, many of us do not give much importance to these relationships. And even some of us neglect deliberately or otherwise these relationships as we fail to understand their invaluable presence in our personal as well as professional lives. So those who realize their importance, the importance of interpersonal relationships, they are of the opinion that interpersonal relationships require utmost efforts to nurture and maintain them. However, in today's digital world, we ourselves have become digital, meaning invisible, gone somewhere into the clouds, untraceable or unreachable in real or symbolic terms. And friends, it has become more so during the last 2 pandemic years, when officially we are repeatedly told to keep social distance, to keep ourselves at a safe 6 feet distance from each other, even from our near and dear ones whom we love the most. Friends, I remember in good old days, I'm sure some of you at least might be remembering to have nurtured very close relationships with the members of your family, both of course close and distant family members. We used to know all the aunts and uncles, both maternal and paternal, our grand and great grandparents from both the sides, and our other distant relatives. We used to visit them, their places, and they also used to visit us, even with or without any reason, even for a very small or big family event. We used to be literally very happy. I'm saying you can understand, many of you might understand the meaning of the term literal, being literally happy. So in those days, we used to be literally very happy to meet each other. And it was so because these relationships used to give us real joy and satisfaction. Such kinds of relationships used to be based on various aspects of our life, like for example, the solidarity, the love, the family interactions, and some social commitments. Such kinds of things were very closely connected because of these interpersonal relationships. So we can say that a relationship can be viewed as a connection between individuals, one to one, or like for example, there is a parent-child relationship, or even sibling relationships, even the relationship among the relatives, or the relationships among the friends, and of course, teacher-student relationship. And we as individuals can also have relationship with the groups of people belonging to different places, different countries, even different likings and different bends of mind. So whatever kind of interpersonal relationship we are sharing, one thing is quite obvious, that these relationships are very dynamic. They keep on changing, and even some of these relationships cease to exist with the passing of the time. Why? The reason is because we keep growing, we keep changing emotionally, and these relationships might get little invisible, can be forgotten as we move ahead in our routine lives. So this is not the only thing so far as the theoretical aspects of interpersonal relationships are concerned. But I think it will take a lot of time leading to running over the webinar's time to discuss all their minute aspects, like the reasons why there is a need to establish relationship, or what are the benefits of interpersonal relationships, or what are the qualities of a good relationship, or what are the qualities of a bad relationships, or even what is the significance of say, for example, rapport or the respect in relationship. What is the importance of trust in a relationship, or what is the significance of the aspect like honesty and accountability and faithfulness in any relationship. So what I feel is there are various theories that govern these relationships. There are different types of relationships, like the romantic relationship, the relationship between the friends, among the family members, among the groups of professionals. That includes so many relationships. But rather than going into all those theoretical aspects of interpersonal relationship, what I feel is that I would like to focus basically on the interpersonal relationship between a teacher. That's what actually I think the organizers have given me the responsibility of speaking about the interpersonal relationship between a teacher and the student. So to begin with, I wish to speak about my teacher. One teacher who taught me during my primary days, primary schooling, and that was small Jilla Parishad run free government school. So the name of that teacher is Mr. Kulkarni. Kulkarni Guruji, we used to fondly call him. So he was my class teacher. Kulkarni was my class teacher when I was in class 4. So I was in my class 4. So this teacher, Mr. Kulkarni, he has immense influence on my personal as well as my professional life as a student as well as a teacher. So Mr. Kulkarni Guruji, he had taught me the whole year of my class 4, and he had gauged my potential, what I believe is, in academics. So after I got my result for class 4 and I started to attend the same primary school for my class 5th, Mr. Kulkarni Guruji, he did not allow me to attend the school. Why? Because his contention was that the primary ZP run primary school had only one teacher for class 5th for all subjects. And he strongly believed that it would affect my learning experience. And so he wanted me to get admitted to high school, where there were different teachers for different subjects. And that high school was at that time run by a private management in my native place. So my father, here comes the entry of my father. My father, who had never been to school, he was an illiterate person. My father thought that why he should spend money by sending me to a privately run school when there was a preschool available. That was the contention of my father. And so here comes the role of Kulkarni Guruji, who managed to convince my father the benefits of my attending the private school. Friends, this might seem to be a very small incident, but let me tell you, this incident changed the entire course of my educational life. For next few years, Mr. Kulkarni kept track of me and my academics. He helped me in whatever possible way to move ahead in my life. Now, this relationship with my teacher was much beyond the classroom relationship that shaped my future life. So it's impossible to forget this relationship with my teacher. Here, among the participants also, I have my teachers, my students, researchers with whom I worked and still I'm working. There are some teachers from affiliated colleges that came in my contact for one or the other reason. So I think rather than talking about my relationship with them, it would be worthwhile to request these people to come forward and share their experiences during their encounters with me, so that the participants today of this webinar, they can come to know to what extent the particular teaching methodology or this particular interpersonal relationships can be effective, and if they can help to develop our relationships further. So if the organizers allow me to request some of the people, and of course I'll begin with Dr. Adya Prasad Pandey, who is my teacher, guide and philosopher, to speak with you. Friends, let me tell you, Dr. Pandey is a very senior professor, working at present as the principal of Viva College in Mumbai, one of the largest college in Mumbai, having more than 14,000 students. So he is my teacher. He who guided me to get my PhD. So may I request Dr. Pandey to share some of his experiences, please? Dr. Pandey?
Yes, am I audible?
Yes, sir, you are audible.
I'm audible. Good afternoon, all my dear friends. First of all, I will congratulate the Treaty of Colleges for organizing this beautiful webinar, international webinar on ethics, dialogic teaching methodology in higher education. These three colleges are ACS College, Lanja, Dr. Tatya Sahib Nathu College, and Bhavan's College, that is Autonomous College of Mumbai. It is very famous college. And all resource persons whom I have been hearing for the last 1.5 hours, Dr. Ilham Hussain and Dr. Shivaji Sargar, who has been my own student. And also Dr. Vijay Kumar Khoth, who has been known to me for the last 30 years. We had done our refresh course in Goa University together. Suresh Sutar, and also Lanja College at Department of English, Dr. Shivaji Mali, Dr. Rajesh Mali, he has also completed PhD under me. It's beautiful that you have organized this beautiful webinar. This could have been organized a little earlier, then very rather more useful. But anyway, it is a unique webinar being organized by these people. So I congratulate and appreciate the kind of task has been taken by them and all the teams, and also head of Department of English, Bhavan's College, Narayan Rao. He's also my friend. So there are a number of people whom I know, they may know me. It's not possible here to name each and everyone, but I wish you all the best. As far as interpersonal relationship, Dr. Shivaji Sargar said that dialogic method is the best method, because there is no option to teacher. There is no alternative to teachers. Teachers are the one who don't teach you. They also try to influence upon you and getting influenced by you. Every student has got their favorite teacher. Every teacher has got their favorite students. It means there is mutual kind of influencing, liking for each other. And This during Corona, online teaching was substantiated because there was no other alternative. Because world across, Corona had completely captured the entire setup of the world across. All the sectors were paralyzed, trains stopped, complete lockdown. So education was impossible. But Wave Out was suggested that there should be online method of teaching. It was developed, established. But in online teaching, as was already said by Dr. Hussain, that it was not possible for all people to get internet connectivity, apparatus, mobile, laptop. So 25% students only could attend. Even cities also, it was only 50%. And villages, you find only just 20-25%. And every time we used to be reported that, sir, we are not able to join because of internet connectivity and because of apparatus, because 2-3 students are, 2-3 boys and girls are studying the same family, and family is very poor, they cannot afford. So this online teaching was though alternative teaching, but at present you find that students are very comfortable in online teaching. Simple reason is that they are getting very good marks, but there is no future for them because the teaching, online teaching is an weak alternative of teaching. During Corona, nothing could be done, and that is why it was suggested that online teaching will serve the purpose of students, because students will get frustrated. They were in house for 3 months, 4 months, for 2 years, and after 2 years, offline teaching has started, and students are coming properly to colleges. But my friend, as Shivaji said, see, it's the interpersonal relationship, and this inter means आपसी परस्पर व्यवहार. I will talk in Hindi, parasparik vyavahar. It means it is not only one side, it is both sides. What is, and the interpersonal relationship can be maintained by a teacher, not with all students. They try to maintain, but all students, they don't accept. And it is not possible for all students to get interpersonally connected. But few students, I may be good, I may be favorite teacher for one student. It means they must be influenced, they must like my behavior, my method of teaching, my behavior, and that is why they like me. But it is responsibility of teacher to try to maintain all kinds of personal relationship, because classroom teaching is not everything. In classroom teaching is just kind of formality and trying to complete the portion as mandate, as per the Gujarat University of Mumbai or any university, that within 4 months, 5 months, you have to complete portions.
Sir, may I interrupt, sir? Just because I'm getting the messages from the organizers, just to focus on the relationship that as a teacher and student.
Yes, yes. And since I have many PhD students, but since it is interpersonal with Shivaji Sargar, he completed PhD under me. He could have been influenced by me. I was also influenced by him. What happened when he started doing PhD under me, he was already MPhil. And that is why when he came, it was, I think, 2005, like that something, maybe 2008, he came. He was working as head of department of English in Panvel College. He came to me and he submitted his synopsis and he started working. And within 2 years, he completed his PhD. Because the day I will say you have to complete this much, he immediately completed. So it was kind of bond was established. I did not treat him as my student. I treated him as he's my brother. Why? Because a kind of close association, not only with himself, with his family, what is family background, how it is. He also me. So he accepted me as his teacher and guru and respected me a lot. And he was very punctual. And I also get to know that how to deal with the students, that there are students also like that, you say to complete the portion, bring within 15 days, and per student is bringing 10 days, 12 days. This is interpersonal relationship. And this relationship I maintain with my all students. And this legacy of interpersonal relationship in research, it continues. Even Dr. Shivaji Sargar's student also have the same kind of feeling what I treated him. And this legacy continues for generations together. I would request all the teachers and all the students who are here, because this is not only kind of formal relationship, the relationship between teacher and student, guru and shish. It is very pure, very, very sacred relationship, and no relations can be greater than this. So with these words, I wish you all the best. And once again, I'm thankful to organizers for having given an opportunity to express myself. And this topic is really very, very relevant, and it needs to be reinstated, and teachers, students should follow this. I'm sure that this is going to help them a lot in future. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, sir. So next in line, actually, I would like to invite Dr. Rajesh Made, who is also one of the members of the organizing committee of this particular webinar. So, but one request is that be brief, please, all of the people, so that the people will get the opportunity to understand what is actually meant by interpersonal relationship and how we can move ahead in our relationship. That's it.
Yes, sir.
So, Dr. Made, please.
Okay. Honorable dignitaries on the virtual platform, today's resource persons, my teacher, Dr. Pandey sir, and all the principals of the 3 colleges, head of the departments and conveners of these colleges. As Dr. Shivaji Sargar is talking about, or his topic, that is interpersonal relationship. And as a friend, our interpersonal relationship, actually, that was started here nearly 16, 17 years back. Basically, it was started when we were the co-participant in refresher course in 2007 in Mumbai University. And therefrom, after that refresher course, the seed of the research that was sown, even first of all by Dr. Shivaji Sargar, that who motivated me, that is having a dialogue with each other. As he said, that dialogue, and for which there is a need of the two or more than one person, because normally most of the time, as we use the method here, monologue, one-way communication, and the communication, it becomes actually meaningful when there is a both-way communication is there. And still we are actually having a very much good dialogue with him right from that 2007 onwards. And Dr. Shivaji Sargar and myself, under the guidance of Dr. A.P. Pandey sir, actually 17 July 2008, we actually submitted the proposal of a PhD. And for preparation of the proposal, therefrom, even up to the submission of even my thesis in the University of Mumbai, along with naturally Dr. Pandey sir, who has helped a lot. But as a friend, Dr. Shivaji Sargar, who has helped me a lot, and that this interpersonalship as a friendship, even as a family level also, because not only just Shivaji Sargar, along with under the guidance of Dr. Pandey sir, other my friends also, that with whom Dr. Shivaji Sargar as well as myself having a very good dialogue, Dr. Malunkar, Dr. P.B. Patil, Dr. L.B. Patil, Manjiri Vaid, all these members, Dr. Santosh Rathod. So we motivate each other. If someone else while doing the work, if there is any depression is there. So giving inspiration, giving motivation, you have that ability, you can do this. So that kind of Dr. Mahendra Kamath also. So this is what a good experience that we have during that period, actually, as far as the research work is concerned here. Even after that, my college, I have invited Dr. Shivaji Sargar as a visiting faculty. That means that continue, we are in touch with him as an invited guest for the one workshop also, spoken English, or even for TYBA students. Even thereafter, even at some, that is not only just for academic purpose also, but on a personal level also, a reciprocal kind of a relationship that we have, that he helped me a lot in terms of in my bad patch as well as in terms of his bad patch during the accident period, because even than the parents also, we need the emotional support, and that was the badly need of that time, and we helped a lot with each other. We remember those days here during the 2009-10 at that period. And another important thing that is always in touch with him, I was also really or I'm actually more benefited, because the pace of Dr. Shivaji Sargar, He has completed within 2-3 years his PhD, and then joined in the department, became the head of the department. You know, a very speedy pace of his work here, academic work. And along with these things here, one more another important thing, that is always having this kind of a good relationship, interpersonal relationship. Because of him, that I got such an opportunity. Because of him, that I was given an opportunity to work with him on various committees of university, such as the member of the board studies of University of Mumbai in English, as well as at present, because of him, again, I'm working here as a chairman of the TYBA examination of Mumbai University. So these are number of the things are there, as time is a very less one. But what I want to tell you here, that such kind of a personality, as he has already mentioned here, that how his personality, how his academic personality, which was shaped by, even he remembers when he was still in 4th standard, Dr. Kulkarni Guruji. So the same experience that what I have also, that is in my college days, that Dr. H.R. Naktilak, Dr. N.B. Pawar, who has instilled such a confidence in me. And now what I am today, it is actually because of both these teachers, and in case of research, Dr. A.P. Pandey sir. So really, even today also, that though getting such an opportunity to work with him and all these here, not only these, but even visiting to his colleges while he was head of the department at Panvel College, organized a number of these seminars, national, international, and he gave exposure to the people from the Mopicel area, that is given opportunity to them, that is work as an organizing member of the organizing committee of a national and international, even the workshop of a revised syllabus of a BA or MA. So that kind of an opportunity also he has given to us. And so that's why this, what the topic which we are now talking about today's webinar, he is actually executing practically, rather than that is just to tell it in the classroom in an ideal form, but rather than we are practically implementing this. And even today, the same, that we are always in touch with him. So this is what the feelings that what I have about Dr. Shivai Sargar in regards to the interpersonal relationships. Thank you, sir.
The next is Dr. Sudhar. Please stick to the point, Dr. Sudhar. Dr. Sudhar.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Very good afternoon to one and all. Myself, Dr. Suresh Sudhar, a research student of Dr. Shivaji Sargar. So I completed my PhD under his guidance. I will just use one word in Marathi, which is mitva. You know, in English, if I translate that, then it can be called as friend, guide, and philosopher. So Dr. Sargar is a friend and guide and philosopher for me, because already we have formed an interpersonal relationship which has been totally constructive, which has been totally based on cooperation, and it is creative by nature. So let me share my experience. I had invited Dr. Sargar sir as a guest lecturer for my students, that is TYB students, and the result of that guest lecture was that a chain of dialogic interaction was formed between him and my students. So this is very a significant aspect of interpersonal relations. So the topic which was given to him, it was made so simple because of his way of teaching. So the dialogical teaching method, or the interpersonal relationship, I'm of the opinion that it removes the inferiority complex in the mind of the students. Not only that, it forms a certain amicable relationship between the teachers and the students. Even there is a line of intimacy has been created between both of them. All the problems on the level of the students are sorted out only because the teacher is very close to the student. And I should say that the teaching becomes an healthy endeavor, and which has been the basic need of today. So I feel that the experimental, the very experience that I have received from Dr. Shivaji Sargar, so it has been proved very helpful to me. And even now, he has given me an opportunity to share my experience. So it is the best example of interpersonal relationships. So I'm very thankful to you, sir. Thanks to all. Thank you, sir.
So let us call in Dr. Sunil. Dr. Sunil, are you there?
Yes, sir. I am here.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Yes.
Good.
Thank you, sir, for making me the part of your presentation. Sir knows how to make the person responsible. I was handling the technical part of this particular webinar, and sir gave me the opportunity to talk about my personal experiences regarding the methodology that was followed by Dr. Shivaji Sargar sir, that is dialogic teaching methodology, and interpersonal relationships between teacher and student. I completed my PhD under the supervision of Dr. Shivaji Sargar in 2018. So what I observed in this particular journey of completing my PhD is that we were 5 students registered at a time under the supervision of Dr. Shivaji Sargar sir. So it was, we were not allowed to work in a isolation. Sir told us that it's a teamwork, it's a research work, though your topics are different. But it's a research team. So we were engaged in a collaborative action research to identify how best to develop a learning environment. And this learning environment was created by Dr. Shivaji Sargar sir by following the various ways of dialogic teaching methodology. I wish to focus on some of the incidents when I understood the importance of dialogues in education, higher education, especially in research work, and how to maintain is interpersonal relationships between teacher and student. I remember the topic selection. I started expressing something in front of sir that I wish to work something on Indian philosophy, but it's a vast area. So because of continuous discussion and dialogues between sir and me, finally we settled down on microscopic analysis of Indian spirituality. Then sir gave us a kind of task to read out the primary sources and secondary sources and come up with some sort of dialogues. And definitely it was a kind of collaborative discussion conducted by Dr. Sargar sir, calling all the 5 students, even his senior PhD scholars, and we discussed a lot about our topics. Then I remember one incident where sir told us, after 6 months, sir told us to submit the progress report. And we prepared that progress report. And again, second time, sir told us after 6 months, yes, give me the second progress report. And we handed over that. It was progress report. And sir kept that progress report aside and told us, forget this report, talk about your progress. And our actual journey of understanding our topic started from that particular point. We were sitting together, all the students were sitting together to scrutinize what kind of things we have completed. So other research scholars working under him were also contributing to our research work. Then some of the, sir is the professor in the department of...
Sunil.
Yes, sir, just one.
Brief.
Yeah. Sir is the sir is the professor in the Department of English, University of Mumbai. So lots of experts from all over the world visiting over there. So sir setting some sort of presentations in front of them. So that really enlightened us to present something positive in front of them. And even when we are preparing for the Viva OC, it was not like our Viva OC, but sir told us to attend a lot more, because dialogues are most important thing, and interpersonal relationships must be maintained to make the person confident and complete his task. So I am thankful to Dr. Shivaji Sargar sir for giving me this kind of opportunity to contribute something in his presentation. Thank you, sir.
Okay, good. Last person today is Kriti. Kriti, are you there, Kriti?
Yes, sir.
Yes, please go ahead.
Yes, sir. Good evening, everyone. I am Mrs. Kriti Chavan. I have completed my MPhil degree course under the tutelage of Dr. Shivaji Sargar sir. My first memory with Dr. Shivaji Sargar sir begins in the University of Mumbai in his office cabin. Soon after, he was referred to me by my mentor and my professor, Dr. A.P. Pandey sir from Junjunwala College, Mumbai, under whose tutelage I not only completed my MA degree course, but also built the sheer determination to pursue an MPhil English degree course. Good words are worth much and cost little are precious words by poet George Herbert. One crucial aspect to reaching our goals is effective communication between the teachers and the students. Dr. Sargar sirs constantly support us to express ourselves efficiently and help us achieve our goals. Dr. Sargar sir has always looked forward to encouraging his students by giving his advice and sharing his expertise beyond classroom lecture timings. We gained confidence from his appreciation for us, not only in the field of subjects related to the MPhil, but also for every effort that he took to cater to our needs to improvise ourselves in creative writing on the whole. A positive word of appreciation made for a piece of writing boosts our confidence and move ahead towards becoming a better writer each day. I would take this opportunity to thank Dr. Sargar sir and Dr. A.P. Pandey sir for being such wonderful teachers to us. Thank you, sir.
Okay, that's from the sharing of the experiences from my students, my teacher, my friends, and I think there is no need to speak a little more about how these relationships, interpersonal relationships, are important for the development of the students as well as the human beings, because these are the speaking examples. All these people who spoke. Who share their experiences, actually they can be considered as the speaking examples of the kind of dialogic methodology and the development of interpersonal relationships in one's life is concerned. As a teacher, as a student, as a human being, how these interpersonal relationships are very, very important for the development of the people who are around you. So with this, I thank the organizers who invited me to be the part of this webinar. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. Online education was good and bad at the same time. Good because everyone were able to sit back at their homes and conduct or attend the lectures comfortably and without any worries of traveling far away. Bad because it was not as good as offline lectures were, since there were in offline lectures there were two-sided communication, and here it wasn't. This problem was actually faced more by teachers than students, looking from my perspective, since teachers got to see black screen or screen with just profile pictures of students rather than their faces in real life. This kind of made everything a bit bland to learn new concepts, and at the end boredom got into the picture. So what I want to say is online education has pros and cons which have to be dealt with at the end. Thank you so much, sir, for making us realize how a two-sided communication is so important, not just in teaching field, but in other aspects of our life as well. I would also like to thank Dr. A.P. Pandey, Dr. Suresh Sutar, Dr. Rajesh Mali, Dr. Sunil Gondhari, and Mrs. Kriti Chavan for sharing their experiences on the given theme. Before we begin with the feedback, I would like to call upon Dhumi Singh to handle the Q&A session. Dhumi?
Hello. Thank you, sir, for your wonderful session. And now that we as students have started going back to college, and we feel motivated enough to speak in class, and so we finally are understanding the gravity and the essence of interpersonal relationships in the classroom that is very much necessary to establish ourselves as good students. And Sunil sir has been with us in every part of it, and he's the reason why today we are here on this platform. So he has established that interpersonal relationships with us too, and I am sure this dynamic concept which you brought upon might have a lot of questions, and I ask participants and professors from different colleges to come forward and ask their questions.
You may raise your hand or use chat box for the same.
You can also type your questions. Sir, in the meanwhile, can I ask you a question if you permit?
Sure. Please go ahead.
So, sir, as you say, there are like interpersonal relationships which are very important between a student and a teacher. And but some students they want to come forward, and yet they are very shy and very timid to come forward and to establish this relationship. And the main root cause is that they haven't had these relationships with previous teachers, and that's why they have classified every teacher as a teacher who does not care enough. So how do you think that these students can be motivated to come forward and to establish themselves in front of a teacher?
Actually, a teacher is a teacher for all time. That one should not forget. If you are in this pious profession, you should always think that you are available 24/7 to the student, particularly this particular 2 years pandemic situation. You are online and you are supposed to be online all the time. So you should be not attending the queries from your students when you are in the class, but even outside the class, you should keep texting them, trying to explain their queries. But yes, as you rightly mentioned, there are some students who are very timid, shy. They don't want to come forward. But now, as this forum is open for our discussion, let me tell you, those students who feel shy to raise their queries, actually they remain behind. Most of the times it is found that those people who do not get their queries clarified in time, it becomes impossible for them to get those queries clarified afterwards. So what those queries, they remain with them all the time, all the entire educational career of their of such students. So if you ask me, if you think that I am in a position to advise something to the students, so definitely my advice will be, don't be shy. This is your time. See, because the classes are large, 120 plus students and everything, but still every moment is yours. So if you feel shy speaking in the class, you can text the teacher, you can write an email to the teacher, this is very important. And once you got the confidence that yes, your queries are addressed, your queries are definitely, the teacher is there for you, then definitely you can gain that confidence. But there should be the beginning. You should begin. That is very important.
True, sir. Thank you. Now I would call upon Ria Ved to ask you a question.
Thank you, Dhruvi. Good evening, sir. So my question is, from this pandemic, like the lockdown, from lockdown period, there was like online education came into existence, and since that period, there was only one-sided communication to be seen, like mostly from teachers' side. Like teachers used to explain stuff, concepts, and like queries would be asked at the same time from teachers, but no one used to respond. That's the main scenario we got to see over this period. And this kind of had led to a phase of ignorance towards the studies from students, since it got boring. Like just teachers used to speak all of the time and then nothing. This might have also caused a lot of troubles to all of the people, and even misinterpretation can take place in such kind of situations. So what can be the ways, like what can be the I'm sorry, just a second. So what can be the ways to avoid such circumstances to happen even in future, like if this pandemic ever come into existence or something?
Okay. Actually, let me tell you, this teaching learning is a two-way activity. It is a two-way activity, and both the parts, the teachers as well as the students, they should get involved actively into this particular process. And as you said, the teachers, what they do is they try to speak all the time. And I mentioned two difficulties on the part of the teacher. One is recording everything, including the attendance and completing the syllabus in a given time. And when we started to have our online classes, initially it was 50%. So you used to get 4 classes per week. Now because of online, we started getting only 2 classes and everything. So sometimes it becomes very, very problematic for the teacher to think in terms of completion of the syllabus. Why the teacher is behind completion of the syllabus? The reason is the mandatory things from the principals and the higher authorities to have that completion syllabus completion report at the end of every semester. But as I shared my experience with reference to my professor Dr. Landage long back in 1991-92, so there was also the same kind of mandatory completion of syllabus, but it is up to the students. So students have to take the initiative and request the teacher that we want to learn, sir. Not completion of the syllabus is our goal. Our goal is learning. Our goal is mastering certain skills. So we want to master those skills. No, even if you just come up with some line from Shakespeare, it becomes easier for us to understand this is the way Shakespeare writes. Let it be his tragedy, let it be his comedy. Why it happens? Because the kind of familiarity that was developed into the students, as I was one of the students of that particular batch by Professor Landage, that makes me aware what is the manner, how what is the style of Shakespeare's writing. So that kind of liking, love for your subject is more important than I think whether the syllabus was complete or not. But please keep this off the record. Again, okay, please.
Okay, sir, another thing I was very intrigued by when you started speaking was that it actually took you 8 months to finish Hamlet. And in those 8 months,
Not finish, one and a half acts only.
wow.
1.5 acts.
So what, according to my understanding, you not only understood it, you have lived the play, you have been on the streets in Venice, and you have experienced it as it is. So for us as students, how do you think we can live understanding it in a textual context?
No, actually, see, it's up to the students. Most of the time, it's up to the students, and of course, teacher is also actively involved into this teaching learning process. So definitely, both the parties should come together and decide upon some course of action. So, what do you want? What's your objective? Teachers should also come up with as my teacher came up with 2 options. What do you want? Completion of the syllabus or the enjoying the literature of Shakespeare? And accordingly, we should go. See, now the people here in 2022, we are more fortunate, students particularly, because you click and you get everything. All study material is available online, much more than what teacher is teaching in the class. So you need not worry about the completion of the syllabus. Rather, you should try to understand and try to live the kind of life about which the writers are writing. Try to understand, get into the philosophy, the mental bent of mind of that particular author, particular characters, rather than running behind scoring the marks. Of course, scoring the marks has its own value, but at the same time, I think what is more valuable for us as students is learning, not scoring. That's what actually I feel.
Thank you very much, sir. I think someone had raised their hand, but they took it down. Anyone who wishes to ask sir any question can go forward, either in the chat box or they can come open their mic and speak.
Generally, whenever I speak as a resource person, I do get very few questions. The reason behind it is that I am always I try to be practical rather than getting into theories. So whenever there is theory, a lot of questions are there because there is no practical implications of that theory. But what I do is I touch upon just some part of theory, and a lot of practical examples are there. So there seems to be very little scope for asking a question or having some query in the mind of the listeners. That's what I. Yes, there is one Dr. Umesh Kumar. Bagal, yes.
Thank you,
Yes,
sir.
Dr. Bagal.
This is not a question. I enjoyed both the session, and I just want to compliment you that you have introduced a very nice method of dialogue for teaching, and your interpersonal relationship with all will definitely increase this method, and definitely it will help all the teacher fraternity also. So I would just like to thank and you compliment.
Okay, thank you.
Just I would like to share, with your permission, should I speak?
Sir, yes, please go ahead, sir. Please go ahead, sir.
These were very nice sessions. As Dr. Sarkar said that his teacher took 8 months to complete few portion of Hamlet, okay? It means it is interpersonal relationship maintained by that professor. Okay, it was his method. So every teacher has got his own method of teaching. As principal, I would suggest you that you should teach everything. You should try to complete the portions. Okay, you should try to complete the portion at the same time. At the same time, you should try to teach effectively, because the teacher is one who inspires. He said very sarcastically, paradoxically, the best teacher is one who teaches nothing. What does it mean? It means best teacher is one who inspires. Dr. Ladge was inspiring all his students. If he could complete 1.5 act of Hamlet, it means he completed entire tragedies written by Shakespeare. Understanding of Hamlet means understanding for all the tragedies, features, assets, soliloquies, dialogues, everything. So it was inclusive. So best teacher is one, if you are taking Hamlet little, teach, and then you can ask students to study by themselves. So he gave one example. Likewise, all the teachers, every teacher can have his or her own examples, exemplification to be followed by others. So this is what he said literally, that you can have your own method of teaching, but post completion of the portions must otherwise will be asked by the principal, even writing, explain why you did not complete the portions. Okay, but teacher is one who teaches less, inspires more and more. As far as the interpersonal relation with the students, I would cite one example just now, if you permit me, because I am tempted to say something more and more. So just
Please go ahead to hear it. Yes,
should
sir.
I say?
Yes, sir, please.
I'm telling you, interpersonal relationship. 2 years back, I was principal. One student of TY BA came from very poor family, and he could not fill up her etiquette form. Last day was over, everything was over. He came to my cabin crying, shedding tears. Okay. And I said that, what is your problem? Why you are shedding tears? She said, yes, sir, I am going to lose my 1 year because I'm not filled in the etiquette form. What is to be done? And office people have said that you cannot fill up now. Okay. Then I said, I first stop weeping, then I will say. I called office people. They said, sir, last date is over. I said, no. This girl is very genuine, a very poor family, very, very sincere girl. Might be some reason that he could not complete it, formalities. I wrote letter to university, and that girl got admitted. Her form was filled up. Now this girl always come to meet me. I believe that she removes her slippers outside and meeting me. My attendant said that, why do you remove this? No, sir, I'm not going to principal office. I am going to temple, because it was this temple, it was he who saved my life. Okay. So it is kind of, if you try to understand their problems, you try to address them. Every time you cannot address their problem, but there is always possibility that if you want, you should try at least. So that is very happy. So this is this kind of relationship that if you are trying, as Rumi said, that sometimes students are not able to speak to teachers, and that is why there are system, mentor and mentee system, mentor and mentee, and there is also mentor mentee system. In that system, limited number of students are allotted, and if you know the student is very shy, but you try to meet him, call to their staff come room, try to convince them what is your problem. Students are very clever, but they don't have, they are introvert in that way. They are very introvert, and that is why they cannot. But on piece of paper, they are writing very well. So this kind of thing can be done. So it is a really very practical session arranged by Dr. Shivaji Sarkar, whom I am very proud of him. That is University of Mumbai University, and is very renowned personality in the field of criticism and critical theory in comparative study. And his PhD was also in comparative study. He was my first student and the best one. So wish you all the best. Thank you very much for giving me an opportunity. If you permit me, I keep on speaking a number of examples. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you a lot, sir. Now I would like to give the mic to Ria Ved to conduct the feedback session forward.
Thank you, Tomi, and thank you, everyone. Now, for the feedback, I would like to call upon Madhura Pade from ACS College Lanja to share her feedback. Madhura, you may go ahead.
Rashi Panchal will speak on the feedback instead of Madhura Pathe.
Okay, sir.
Yes, Prachi, are you available?
Yes, sir.
Yes, speak on.
Yes, sir. I am audible.
Yes, you are audible.
Dignitaries on the floor and all the participants. I am Miss Prachi Pancha, final year student of English Department of Arts, Commerce and Science College Lanja. I am very happy and felt it is a privilege to be the part of this international webinar. I found it very insightful, interesting and fruitful to listen. Dr. Ilon Hussain sir on ethics in education from different perspectives of modern literary theories, and Dr. Shivaji Sargar sir on dialogic teaching methodology in higher education, not only in theoretical manner but practical way. So I must say thanks to the organizers to giving this opportunity to listen great personalities like Dr. Ilham Hussain sir and Sargar sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Prachi. Now, I would like to call upon Vinita Ramteke from Dr. Nathu College. Vinita?
Ria, I think Vinita is not there on this call.
Okay, sir. I would like to call upon Ashwarya Panugoti from Bhavans College to give her feedback.
Thank you so much, sir, for enlightening us with your knowledge. All the speakers, Dr. Hussain sir, Shivaji sir, Pandey sir, Rajesh sir, Sudha sir, and Sunil Gondali sir for sharing their experiences with us. And when Hussain sir was speaking, it was like everything was making sense. It's like we already know that how much ethical things and how much interpersonal skills were necessary. And when Shivaji sir was speaking, it's like we already know it, but we all the attendants were becoming like we were coming into a realization that it is very much important. And when Hussain sir, when you quoted Dr. Radhakrishnan and Aristotle, that yes, how privatization provides an opportunity to be privileged in a choice. And even in our college, there was the availability of psychology, philosophy, and English literature. It was not there before. But when our college became autonomous, we students of Bhavans College got an opportunity to have a combination with psychology, philosophy, and English literature. And when people are not ethical in communication or other behavior, we lose trust and credibility, which in turn leads to disturbances in our relationships with our fellow mates. And when Sutasa, when you were speaking about interpersonal relationships, I remembered a book which I have read, that is named Tuesdays with Maury, which was written by Mitch Albom. It's a memoir where where the relationship between a student and teacher has been depicted very nicely, and I recommend every one of you to read that. When I was reading that book, at first I felt like I need the teacher like Mori, but by the time I finished that book, I understood that no, I should try to be a student like Mitch. Then I can find the teacher. Like in every teacher, I can find Mori. That's what I felt like. um, all of us should try to have a desire to understand and connect with people. Thank you so much, sir, for enlightening us. It was a very wonderful session where you have inspired us and motivated us to come forward even more and make a good relationship with our teachers. Thank you.
Thank you, Ashwarya. Now I would request the audience, participants especially, to give their feedback if they have any. They may raise their hand or use chat box to give their feedbacks. We would be glad to hear your comments or suggestions, whatever you have. We will feel flattered for the same. I can see some of the comments in the chat box, and we are. I feel they are really good ones. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for giving for your polite gesture. Now, I would like to call upon Dr. Sunil Gondhare to give the vote of thanks and conclude the session thereafter. But before that, I would request you all to look into the chat box, since there has been posted a feedback link over there. You can fill it up. Sir?
Yes, thank you, Ria. Yeah, it's since the last three hours. We started exactly at 4 o'clock, and right now it is almost 7 o'clock. It was really a kind of fruitful interaction between expert teachers and students. So on behalf of all the three colleges and their English departments and IQACs of Tatya Saheb Nathu College, Margadamane, New Education Societies, ACS College Lanza, Bhavans College Autonomous, Andheri West, Mumbai. So first I'm thankful to the management of all the three colleges and principals of all the three colleges, Dr. Vijay Kumar Khot from Dr. Nathu College, Dr. A.S. Kulkarni sir from ACS College Lanza, and Dr. Zarin Batena madam from Bhavans College Andheri for giving us this kind of support, wonderful support to conduct a kind of international webinar on this important theme. I'm also thankful to the heads of departments of all the three colleges, Dr. Suresh Sutar sir from Dr. Nathu College Margadamane, Dr. Rajiv Kamble sir, ACS College Lanza, and Dr. H.L. Narayan Rao sir, Bhavans College Andheri. Thankful to the team of conveners, Srimati Prajakta Shinde from Dr. Nathu College, Dr. Rajesh Mali from ACS College Lanza, and Dr. C.B. Patil from Bhavans College Andheri for managing all kinds of resources to conduct this particular webinar smoothly. And I cannot forget the two experts for today's webinar, Dr. L.M. Hussain, Professor, Department of English from Dhaka City College, for accepting our invitation and enlightening the entire gathering on how to follow ethical practices in higher education. And my teacher, my mentor, Dr. Shivaji Sargar sir, Professor, Department of English, University of Mumbai, for taking a live session, considering live examples to make the particular theme more elaborated. And how can I forget these two gems, Miss Ria Ved and Durmi Singh, for handling this particular hosting this particular webinar very smoothly, and also At the behind the curtain, we have a student team, organizing team of all the three colleges, professors from all the three colleges who work hard to make this particular event a grand one. And I would like to thank Professor Rahul Barsat sir for helping me in managing a technical part of this particular webinar. And thankful to all the people. Without their contribution, their effort, this particular webinar would not have been this particular success. So, with the permission of organizing committee, experts, I wish to put on the record that particular webinar is over. Yes, Dr. Sutar sir, is there anything?
So you have to thank Dr. Shivputra Kanade for giving us a very valuable person for this webinar.
Yes, so thankful to Dr. Shivprasad Kanade sir for giving us this opportunity to introduce Dr. L.M. Hussain for this particular webinar. Yes, sir, anything?
Okay.
So the link of feedback form is posted in the chat box. Yeah, that is already posted. So Dr. Shivaji Sargar sir, very much thankful to you for giving us your valuable time.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sunil, Dr. Sundar, everybody.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Even thankful to Dr. Pandey sir, Dr. Ramesh Kumar Bagul sir, Dr. P.V. Patil sir, who joined this particular webinar. Yes, I wish all of you to just on your videos so that I can take one screenshot.
Yeah.
Sir, unmute the videos.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you, all of you, all the participants. I'm thankful to all the participants who attended this webinar.
Sunil sir.
Yes, sir.
Please post the feedback form in our on our Telegram group.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay.
Sir, can I speak?
Yes, Ria. Yes, Drumi.
Sir, we would also like to thank you because behind the curtain, even you have worked a lot. So we are really thankful for bringing this platform to us and giving us the opportunity to grow.
The three colleges are working together because yes, there must be dialogic teaching methodology, interaction must be there, collaborative efforts must be there. So that's why thankful to Dr. Nathu College and even SES College Lanza. Definitely in future, this sort of events will be conducted.
Okay, Sunil sir, have you posted the feedback link?
Yes, sir, that is already posted.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, again I post.
Okay, thank you everyone once again.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Rajesh, sir.
Yeah, thank you.
And Dr. Shivaji Sargar, sir, I really wish to live Hamlet like you have lived. So it is a dream of mine now.
Definitely, you can go for it. You can ask your teachers to help you out.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mani sir, Sudhar sir.
Okay, sir.
So may I
Thank you.
leave the meeting now?
sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, sir. Sarga sir, I'm very thankful to you, basically giving that opportunity to deliver certain experiences on this occasion.
Thank you, Dr. Chandrakant Chaugule, sir, Professor Suryakant Parkale, sir, for attending this webinar.
चौगुले सर, ओपन करा व्हिडिओ तुमचा.
Sir, it is open.
ओपन आहे.
Hello.
हा.
Hello.